So a lot of people are scared of opening up in a relationship, going into a relationship with a fear that they're going to get hurt, right? And there's one way you combat this fear. And it usually comes with experience, first of all, because the more you do it, the more you get used to it and the more you learn this thing, but also through self-love and doing the work. So what I'm talking about is understanding that no matter what happens, even if the other person leaves you, even if the other person betrays you, stops loving you, if the worst case scenario happens, you're going to be okay. You're going to move on from it, and not just move on, you're going to be happy again. So, if you've gone through more relationships or situationships, as the cool kids like to call them nowadays, you do realize at some point that, at first, especially when you're young, it feels like your whole life is ruined because you really tie your whole self-identity to the other person. Or if you've only had one relationship or few relationships, especially if you have an anxious attachment style, you build your whole life around that person, your identity, You might even cross your own boundaries with that person. And what I mean is, for instance, because let's say you have that anxious attachment style, you want to see them every day, text them all the time, because you're scared that if you don't do so, you might lose them or you're going to lose that connection, right? So you're always trying to connect with them, be there because you're afraid they're going to leave, right? But that's just one part of you. And it's really important to recognize that's not all of you. There's another part of you that needs to see their friends, that needs to spend time alone, that needs, their own identity, their own passions. And you're not taking that into consideration. You're only looking at the part that, needs that instant gratification, validation, that needs that love. And it's really important to understand that you don't need anyone besides yourself. You don't need that person. Okay, so you need air, you need food, you need connection. That's true. But you're just meeting that need of connection through that person. You can meet that need of connection through yourself. And this is what happens the more you mature emotionally. You learn to become your own base of stability, of love. You become more self-sufficient. So, especially when you're young or you have an anxious attachment style, you might go to the other person to help you meet the most basic needs you have, which could be stability, safety, connection, love, and you're not meeting any of these needs through yourself, So, of course, if you become really dependent on someone, there's a lot to lose. And that's why you're so scared to go into a relationship and actually open up. And you might feel contradicting feelings about it as well, because one part of you wants to open up and get vulnerable, the other part is afraid because there's just too much to lose, right? And it makes sense. But, when you become more self-centered and more self-sufficient, and especially if you've had more experiences like this, you realize, romantic partners, they come and they go, friends, they come and they go. You're the only true stable person that stays in your life and that is going to be with you forever. And the more this happens, at first it feels like you're dying, but then you realize, yeah, I'm gonna get over it at some point. So this mindset that I can get in a relationship, I can open up, I can experience all of these feelings and get vulnerable. And even if we break up and it will hurt like hell, I'm gonna get over it. This is what allows you to open up in relationships, okay? So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments and suggest any other topics for future videos. Lots of love.